Welcome in, Sports and Leisure Nights. This is episode 32, which you're about to listen to. Today's date, as I'm recording this, is January 4th, 2020. The rest of the episode, though, was recorded on the 2nd. It's just Greg and I get into a lot of stuff. We talk about the best sports moments of the decade. Then we talk mostly NFL playoffs and what we're looking forward to this week. But before we get into the episode, doing a little fan mail here, I put on our Facebook page what our listeners thought were some of the best sports moments of the decade. It can be what, your own personal best sports moments or what you thought nationally was some of the best sports moments. So we're going to get into that. Dustin, he said one of the best sports moments was the Saints Super Bowl onside kick. And I would have to agree that's the nationally a big sports moment. I mean, if you put together a montage of the best things that happened in 2010, that Saints onside kick in the Super Bowl is going to be on there. It won the Saints their first Super Bowl, and it was just a big moment. I mean, after Katrina, the city coming together and winning the Saints' first Super Bowl, and partially because of that onside kick, that was pretty big. That was a big moment. I do agree with Dustin in that. So, Spencer Copeland, he put just hashtag beast mode. Sure, he's referring to not just, Marshawn Lynch in general, but when they went to the playoffs, it was really, I'm not going to say his first emergence into the league because, he had some good years with the Bills, but he went to the Seahawks and, a lot of people were counting them out. I think they won the division that year at 7-9, or they were like 7-1 or something like that. They were below 500, and they go on against the Saints. Most people, I think this is after the year the Saints won the Super Bowl, or a couple years they were still like they are now. I mean, Super Bowl contender. And Marshawn Lynch just ran off that huge, I think it was like 60, 70 yards, and just broke like 9 tackles. And it was just a huge run. Momentum shifted. Seahawks won that game, mostly because of that play, I would suspect. And it was really the official start, maybe not the original start, but the official start to the world, his coming out party, and beast mode was really started then, and he's gone on to have a great career. So yeah, that was I once again agree with Spencer. That was a big moment in the 2010s decade of sports. Like I said, that's going to be on that montage too of sports plays. And then finally we had James Fabian. I hope I'm pronouncing all your guys' names right. He had a couple of them. The Cardinals losing the 2013 World Series. I guess he's probably not a Red Sox fan. He just probably really hates the Cardinals, which I'm with him. I mentioned one of my best moments was the Red Sox winning the World Series in 2013 and 18, and you'll hear more about that. But yeah, they beat the Cardinals that year in 2013. James also put LeBron breaking Cleveland's long title drought. I also put that in my did I put that in there? I don't know, but I agree that's one of the national ones, one of the big moments. Him winning the championship, bringing one back to Cleveland, that was just a huge thing, and doing that against the Warriors when they're down 3-1, and the Warriors had that record-setting year with the wins, and they just looked to be unbeatable, and for them to do that in that fashion, was just remarkable, and that's something most people are gonna remember where they were when that happened. He also put LeBron jinxing the Indians at his Halloween party, poking fun at the Warriors, blowing a 3-1 lead. And then, he jinxed the Indians because they did the same thing against the Cubs, and he ended that with the Cubs ending their drought. So, James, a couple drought ending for titles, he believes those are a couple of the big moments in the decade. And I also put the Cubs ending their 108-year title drought in my best moment, just because that is. I mean, I got a soft spot, I'd say, for the Cubs, just because, they're always been lovable losers, and, like a Red Sox fan, you kind of sympathize with a long title drought that the Cubs had, and, they're supposedly were cursed like the Red Sox were. So, yeah, I had a little sympathy there for the Cubs, and I was glad to see them finally win it, especially with Joe Madden and that young talented team that they had. I thought they'd be competing a little more for a couple World Series since then, but they've since then fired Joe Madden, so I'm not sure what the Cubs are going to do. But they ended the drought. That team's always going to be remembered in Chicago for the rest of their lives. They're probably not going to have to buy any drinks in a Chicago bar ever again. So Yeah, those are just a couple of the fans' best moments. Hopefully, you guys put some more on there, and I'll add them into next week's episode as well. But holidays are over. I know we've had some kind of sketchy scheduling, dropping episodes on weird times, and we didn't have one for 1 week. It's just the holiday rush, and that's just the way it falls sometimes. But hopefully we're getting back into it. Hopefully we'll be back on our normal Friday schedule, having one out every Friday morning-ish time, and get back in the swing of things as the new year has come upon us. So, like I said, I'm not going to postpone this anymore. Hope you guys really enjoy the episode. Me and Greg had a good time talking, had a good conversation, and we hope you guys will join in. So, without further ado, here we go. And welcome in everybody to Sports and Leisure with Hefflanes and Heesier. This is episode 32. I am your host, Ty Hefflane, and here today joining me is Greg Heesier. Greg, how is it going? Happy New Year.
It's going good.
That's going good. It is the first episode of the new year, the new decade. What'd you do for New Year's Eve? Did you have a good Christmas? It feels like it's been a while since we talked like that, so...
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, good Christmas. I don't know, New Year's I just got drunk.
Did you stay up until 12?
Till like 5.
Oh, dang. Okay. Yeah, so you stayed well into the new year.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Did you even go to sleep, or did you have to wake up and go do something?
I woke up at 6:30, and yeah, so that's how my day went.
That sounds awful. Yeah. No, I think I went to bed at like 12:30, 1 o'clock, so it was But that's what time I normally go to bed. So that's what happens when you get old and you have kids. So they stayed up. So we all stayed up past 12, but then we went home and we crashed. So it was good. I was just glad I didn't have to work the next day, unlike you. But yeah, that's good to know. We're starting a new decade. It's really weird to believe that we are closer to the year 2050 than we are to 1990. Or we're as close as that. So... And, I always used to think like 1980 was 20 years ago. It's like 40 years ago now, which is mind-boggling to think of. But
I still think it's 20 years ago.
Yeah. Like in some part of me, it is 20 years ago, but really it's 40 years ago. It's doozy to think 2020. That's going to be getting used to right over. So since we have...
Thanks for that reality check.
What'd you say?
Thanks for that reality check there.
Yeah, especially when you have to write checks, then you have to write the dates. It's going to take a couple months to put that 19 there at the end. Do you even write checks anymore? Yeah, me neither.
Everything's online.
Yeah, I can't tell you last time I wrote a check.
Automatic.
Like, even when I get direct deposit, they wanted like a blank check. I'm like, I don't have any. Like, here, I called the bank. Here's my account and routing number. Just do what you got to do. But I don't have any checks. I'm not going to buy a book of checks just to give you one. So I might even go straight into my bank.
I use checks sometimes, though. I don't know, maybe once a month on average.
To write those big $500,000 checks?
No.
What's the biggest check you've written?
I don't know.
100,000?
500.
$500. Okay, that's not that much.
What? Who do you think?
I don't know. I thought you'd just be laying down big dough on like a new hawk confinement or something, or just buying a head of cattle.
No, I don't
know how much a head of cattle is. Is that just one? A head of cattle? Is that just one, or is that? Yeah, it makes it sound like it's like 50. Like, how many heads of cattle do you have? Oh, about 6. That's a lot.
A school of cattle.
A school of cattle. Yes. So, it is the year 2020. We have a new year, so I thought me and Greg would go into our most memorable sports moments that happened in 2010. So from 2010 to 2019, what was your most memorable sports moments? We'll go with top 5. Greg, you're still kind of working on yours? That's fine.
Yeah, I just figured we'd talk about
I will give mine.
I don't like ranking moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't know if
It's weird.
I know I'm always a stickler for 1 through 5, but it's hard to narrow down 10 years worth of stuff. So I'm just gonna have 5. They're not in any particular order, but my first one was Peyton Manning, his Super Bowl, his second Super Bowl, and his retirement there shortly after with the Broncos. That's something I'm always gonna remember. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks just because he went to Tennessee and he played for the Colts, and he's regarded as one of the better quarterbacks, if not one of the best quarterbacks to ever play. And him hobbling to the finish line with the Broncos and winning that Super Bowl, and then retiring short of that, and then his retirement speech was also great read. Every now and then I'll go back and listen to it if I need a boost up for the day. But it's one of those memories I'm always gonna remember. Peyton Manning's retirement, and him right off into the sunset because he just won the Super Bowl. And now he's in.
Yeah, that I don't know. That was kind of like that was more like a rainy sunset. You know? What I mean?
Yeah, because he like I said, he hobbled to the finish line. And he definitely wasn't one of the top 5 reasons the Broncos won the Super Bowl that year. He was like 7th. That defense definitely won it for him, and having to play the Panthers definitely helped as well. My next top five sports moments of the decade was the Cubs winning the World Series. I'm not a huge Cubs fan. I know I like the Cubs, but them putting an end to the curse and winning a World Series for the first time in 108 years, that was magical. I watched that game even though I didn't care about even though the Red Sox weren't in it, I still watched that World Series. It was a great World Series. I mean, I went to Game 7, went into extras, and the Cubs, finally pulled it off. It's just something that I think, if you didn't watch it, you at least remember what was going on, when they won, because that's kind of a big deal, even for baseball hitters like you, Greg. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know.
My next sports.
I wouldn't.
What now?
Figure it I suppose objectively it's a top 5.
I mean, I think objectively
moment. For me, it's not even well,
overall in sports I think it is.
Not making any personal.
Peyton may be a more personal one for me, but I think the Cubs winning the World Series is for anybody really, because it is a huge moment in sports, regardless of if you feel like the Cubs or not. I mean, breaking 108-year World Series curse is big. So. The next one is a baseball one too, and that's the Red Sox 2 World Series, the one in 13 and the one in 18. I went originally the one in 18 just because it was more historic, because they had such a great year, and I don't want to say flew through the playoffs, but they, relatively easily they went through the playoffs and won. But that 2013 when they won, that was when they had the Boston Marathon bombing, so that was big for the city that year to win. And, it also had a lot of great games with Torrey Hunter flipping over the wall, with David Ortiz hitting that grand slam in the ALCS. And then that was just a great year. And then they played the Cardinals again in the World Series and won that, I think, pretty easily. So, the Red Sox 2 World Series win of the decade. Those are some of my favorite sports moments. The Preds Stanley Cup final run. I know they didn't win it, but it was still that was a great playoffs to watch. Them taking out the Blackhawks, sweeping the Blackhawks in 4 games, and then beating the Blues in 6 games, and then taking out the Ducks, and then obviously losing in the finals. But that was still it was great. It was a fun couple months watching them go in the playoffs and winning, and that really got me into hockey. So that's definitely going to be one of the things I remember from the 2010 era decade when it comes to sports is the Preds Stanley Cup run. And then the last one, is probably the most personal to me out of all of them, is RG3's rookie year in the NFL. It was a roller coaster ride. He was just coming in. We weren't sure exactly what we were going to get. The team started 3-6, and then the Redskins and RG3 with Alfred Morris, and they had the read option. They went off 6 straight wins. They beat the Cowboys twice, one on Thanksgiving, and then one in Week 17 to win the division and make the playoffs. And then that playoff game is where it started to go all downhill really quick again. So, but those 6 games, watching them, like I said, beat the Giants twice, they beat the Cowboys twice, and then make the playoffs after starting 3-6 was a heck of a ride. And then in the playoffs, that's when RG3 tore his ACL, and the Redskins have been doomed ever since. So is he. So those are my 5. Peyton's retirement, the Red Sox World Series, the Cubs World Series, RG3's rookie year, and the Preds Stanley Cup final run. So, Greg?
Yeah, that's good moments. I think I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is the Auburn kick six. You know, when they returned
Yeah,
it
yeah,
like 100 yards for. As far as visually, that's the most memorable for me.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. 'Cause I watched that live. That was. You're right. That's one of the things.
See, I watched the whole game.
I think
and
I didn't know if I watched the whole
like,
game, but it was on like in my peripheral.
I watched the whole game intently, and then there's like that field goal at the end, and I'm like, I'm not watching a field goal. That's like the biggest bummer to end the game. Then I walk back in the room, and they're freaking returning it for a touchdown. But nevertheless, I saw the replay.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't know any. I would like to say one of Notre Dame's, but no, those are in the worst moments. I could probably think of more worse moments, but yeah, I guess the Bruins Stanley Cup run in 2013 that stands out.
Yeah.
I'm really drawing a blank now.
Well, what about the Patriots Super Bowls? Which
Yeah, I guess the Falcons comeback win and like the Malcolm Butler interception, like as far as moments,
yeah, those are big. Probably I'd say I don't know. Probably the Malcolm Butler interception is probably more. I think that's more of a blunder, really, for Seahawks than it is like a memorable moment for Patriot fans. I mean, that's just always going to be known as Marshawn Lynch. Why didn't he run it in? Well, he shouldn't have thrown it, but
nevertheless, that play was one of the biggest
Yeah.
plays like ever made.
yeah, that was like one of the worst Super Bowls for me to watch because at times I hated the Seahawks. I didn't like Pete Carroll. I didn't like any of the Seahawks players,
Oh, that was the
and
best.
I don't like the Patriots. So I think I was rooting for the
snowed
Patriots.
like a foot that
I
weekend.
was rooting for the Patriots. I think in that Super Bowl, but nothing else, Greg, that you can remember.
Oh, I guess Kemba Walker's run in
In UConn,
yeah,
when they won the Big East, and then he went in to win the. Was that when they played Butler?
I don't remember who they played. I just remember.
Or then they played Villanova.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. They played somebody. Yeah, they played Villanova, and it was like the world's most boring game.
I think
It was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
that might have been the Butler game.
The UConn run, every game was nuts up until that. And then
I think that's when they played Butler because Butler shot like 23%. Like that was a boring game, and I felt so bad because Butler played the year before and they lost on a buzzer beater to Duke, and Gordon Hayward was on that team and he shot a half court shot and it hit the front of the rim and bounced out, and it was heartbreaking. And they come back and then they shoot like 20% from field goal and lose. I think it was to UConn. I don't know if it was Kimber Walker's UConn or Emeka Okafor. I think he was still playing on the UConn that team. I'm just joking. He wasn't. He hadn't played since like 2000.
Yeah, I think that was after Kemba, but
I thought it was
can't be
before.
sure. Also, Lynn Sanity.
Yeah. When was the Piston Pacer fight? Remember we were talking about that a couple days ago.
Not this decade.
Yeah, I think it was like 2008
like,
or something like that. 2009.
Malice in the Palace.
Yeah, that was good times.
It had to have been like.
Yeah, I think it was like 2008, 2000.
05, 07.
Was that early? You might be right. Yeah, because it wasn't Meta World Peace yet. He was still going by Ron Artest, so it's been a while.
Yeah, not this decade anyway.
But
you got anything else that you remember from?
Well, I could go nationally instead of more personally. I think I was looking through LeBron winning in Cleveland. That was probably big nationally as one of the bigger sports moments. And beating the Warriors that year too. That was that NBA Finals when you had the Warriors going like 72-9 or 73-9, and they looked like an unstoppable force. And you had Cleveland coming in with LeBron and Kyrie was still there and Kevin Love, and they go down 3-1, and LeBron and Cleveland win 3 straight and win the title for the first time in Cleveland had since like the 40s. It feels like. So I think nationally that's going to be one of the most memorable things about the decade. LeBron doing that, and then probably just like the Patriots' dominance, like is going to be remembered mostly. That's might be.
Yeah, I'm with
When
you
was
on
the
that.
Saints
Hey,
Super Bowl?
the Pistons or the Pacers Pistons brawl was
Oh,
04.
I was way off. Maybe the Saints when they went 2010.
When was Katrina?
2009, 2008. Well, if that follows in there, I think the Saints win their first Super Bowl. That's going to be remembered as well. I think that's really about it. The Cubs winning. I said that. Um, just the Patriots' dominance. Um, yeah, and then just basketball. The Warriors. They're great.
Yeah.
What was a 4-year run? That's something that I mean. I think that season when they went 73-9, that's going to be obviously it's a record for most wins. That's great, and then for them to fall short and not win, that's going to be something talked about. Decades from now. But anything else you want to put in there if you can remember?
No.
Well,
I can't think of anything.
Steven isn't here, and I guarantee he would put Tiger winning the Masters again. So yeah. I'm obligatory Tiger talk in here. That probably had him coming back, and after his old scandals and whatnot, and his just struggle to come back into golf and then to win the Masters. What was that? Was that last year or the year before?
I thought that was this year, but I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. Last
year. 1 year for the next.
Yeah, his comeback. I think that's going to be something to talk about. His whole struggle from, when his wife beat him up in that car accident, and then his press conference, and then his back surgery and his knee surgery, and just his slow and just utterly hard comeback. Emphasis on the slow, because it did take him forever to get back, and it feels like every week he would shoot like a 4 under in his backyard, and everybody would holler that he was back. But yeah, Tiger winning that's big for golf. I mean, I can't, even though I don't like the guy, I can't really put down what he means for golf and what he's done for the game. So, like I said, I'll put him in there because I know Steven would if he was here, and I know there are a lot of people that like Tiger. I think that's one of the things me and you do agree on, is that.
You sound like you're giving us a funeral monologue.
A eulogy.
Well, we've never liked him, but we'll always.
We can't deny what he's done. Yeah, I think that is few things we agree on. Is we're just kind of about Tiger, whereas Steven.
I don't really care, but it's like the only thing relevant about golf.
Yeah.
To me, is like the.
We do have a nice what's the word I'm looking for?
It's just drama. People love some good drama.
Well, yeah, you don't care about Tiger. Steven loves Tiger, and I can't stand Tiger. So we have a nice, even opinion on him. Just take what all three of us to say a little at a time, and that's what you'll get. So.
You get a better picture that way.
Yeah.
More objective one.
Okay. Well, please send in.
Oh, I want to throw in like any Conor McGregor victory, and I hope he wins again sometime.
When's he play again? He plays in a couple of months.
2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
January 18th.
Well, then. Yeah, I'm always down for a Conor McGregor sighting and fighting. I mean,
I'm always down for a cowboy fight, too, and luckily we get them both at the same time. I wish they could both.
I think McGregor fighting Mayweather, that's pretty memorable, I think, too. Because, I mean, he went from...
He landed more shots than De La Hoya did.
And I mean, he came from a completely different sport. I know it's fighting, but I mean, boxing to UFC is like the same thing as like field hockey and regular hockey. Like, yeah, they're eerily similar, but there are drastic, like, strategies.
Yeah, because like in boxing, if you're Floyd Mayweather, you can just duck and turn around and get the fight reset.
Yeah,
every time. Boxing's a joke, is what it is.
Well, he still makes a lot of money. Like, yeah, he makes too much money. It's sickening how much money Floyd Mayweather has. But like I said, him.
Yeah, I like
not even jumping up, just going from one
I
sport
mean,
to the
as
other
like
just to fight the dude.
entertainment,
I think that was pretty miraculous, and it was better than the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, which we all thought would be the fight of the century, and it was
They're
awful. Like
both 50.
the Mayweather, the McGregor Mayweather fight was so much better than the Pacquiao one. And that's coming from a guy that never even boxed before. So, yeah, I think that's
McGregor just has no cardio.
yeah.
Like if he had like a cardio of like a real like, you know what I
Like
mean?
if you had a year to get ready for it and just like straight cardio and technique, I think that what round did it go to?
Yeah, but part of it's like genetic too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Some
It
people
went what
like,
5-6
are
rounds or
the way they-
7? How many rounds did it go? It went 10 rounds. It was supposed to go 12.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
They stopped it because
Yeah.
McGregor gets so tired and he just
Yeah.
like he's he looks like he's drunk.
Yeah, I think he was winning until about the 5th or 6th round, and then Mayweather kind of started pouring it on, and that's when it turned. So that's
I just love the whole McGregor experience. It's always entertaining,
yeah.
Like women have the fucking Kardashians. I have Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
So
he knows how to.
you know what I'm saying?
He knows how to draw attention. I mean, like I said, I'm down for McGregor fight. I'm always down for that. Yeah, him and what's her name?
Lucy.
No, the
I don't know what you're talking about.
It starts with
Wasn't paying
an
attention.
H. Son of a gun. Ronda Rousey doesn't start with an H.
Oh,
Her
Starts with an H?
emergence
Where's that?
into the league and Connor's emergence. Those are going to be one of the two bigger names I think in UFC for the 2010s. So
yeah. Yeah.
anything.
It's like kind of like the first, person to do something type
A
of thing.
pioneer.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
Well.
Doesn't necessarily mean the value is higher.
Yeah. And they both had a nice run. They both, won and made, I suspect, made a lot of money. And, in that sport, your shelf life isn't nearly as long as it is in most other sports. If you can hold on for a year or so, you've done a pretty good job. And McGregor did about that. And I think Ronda Rousey was pretty close before, she lost. And then you fall from grace pretty quickly.
I think McGregor started doing a lot of drugs or something.
Probably. Yeah. You just took the eyes off the prize, I guess. That's a hard sport to...
He just seems all like freaking hopped up. I know he's kind of always quacked out the way it is, but
he's Irish. It's a hard sport to stay on top of your game, I would suspect. I mean...
especially when you sleep in silk sheets or whatever they say.
And bowls of cocaine.
It's hard to wake up. That's why, like my cold weather versus warm weather, teams, sports teams like football,
Yeah, even though that's kind of cooled down in the recent years. It used to be anytime a team from the South would go up north, they'd lose like almost automatically. And now it's starting to even out a little bit. If we didn't mention your best moments of the decade, please let us know. Like I said, email us or message us on Facebook. Tell us what your most memorable sports moments of the decades are some that you think that we missed that were nationally going to be remembered. So go on and please do that. Another thing that happened in the last couple weeks that we got this week coming up is the NFL playoffs. I think Saturday is when the Texans and the Bills play, and the Patriots and the Titans. And then Sunday it's the Saints and Vikings and Seahawks and Eagles. So I think we talked about a couple weeks
Saints
ago.
and Vikings is gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game.
I'm gonna love that game.
I think all these good games. I think all these games are gonna be good. Like they're all interesting matchups. Like
Yeah, they really are.
I mean, because you have the Bills and the Texans playing. We'll start that game first because I think it's going to be the first
You
one.
never have a good wild card matchup.
Well, there's always at least one or two that end up being laughers or that are just mismatches, and the Texans and Bills I think are going to be good. That's going to be a good game because you got the Texans who aren't part of the best team, but they're still a good playoff team. They have good offense. We'll see if Will Fuller can play. He'll be a huge help if he can. Their defense isn't what it used to be. They're definitely not one of the top 10 defenses, or top 5 defenses. Even though J.J. Watt's coming back, which will be a big help. But they're playing the Bills, who have a great defense. Offense is kind of eh. But, I mean, the Texans on paper look like they should be able to win, but just because I think they're a better team and they have more experience. But the Bills, I think, are still going to be able to put up a good game. And it's going to be – I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Bills do end up winning.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I don't know. It's gonna be a really ugly game.
Agreed.
JJ Watt's back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Does that mean something still? You know?
Yeah.
Like how close to what it meant when he was like on, in the prime.
Yeah.
He won the Defensive Player of the Year like a few years
Yeah.
in a row,
Well, let's
right?
just say that was
How far off is he now from that?
I'd say 15 or 20%. Because, he was swatting down balls. I mean, I remember the Patriots had tennis rackets trying to game plan when they played against him. So I don't think he's quite up to that, but I still think he's a dominant, quote unquote, NFL player. He's somebody you still have to game plan against, I would say. So, I mean, if I was playing against him, I'd much rather he not be on the team and not be playing than on the field.
Who are you
J.J.
talking about?
Watt.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, JJ Watt.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, that's probably going to be an ugly, messy, low-scoring game, like 19-16 or something like that. Or the Texans can blow them out. It's either going to be a close game and the Bills win, or it's going to be a Texan blowout.
No one's blowing out the Bills.
Well, I don't see the Bills blowing out the Texans. So, but you can't tell me you can't tell me that Watson could just have a good game and Hopkins just goes off and they win like 31-14.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm saying it's possible. But yeah, like we both can agree, it's probably gonna be an ugly game. So next Saturday, that next game on that Saturday is the Titans at the Patriots. Greg, you being a Patriot fan, I know you probably aren't. Tell me what you think about that game. Are you think they're gonna win? Are you nervous? Would you have rather played another team?
I never think they're gonna win. Really,
I would like to point
I
out
thought they were gonna win.
I would like to
in,
point
like,
out the win.
6
I
weeks.
said at the beginning of the year that I don't think the Patriots are going to make the playoffs. I'm not sure about you as much, but I know Steven.
You said the Super Bowl misses.
Yes, I did. And I know Steven damn near laughed me out of the room and called me an idiot. I'm not sure what you said. You might have been with him, but not as aggressive.
Well, I just it just seems like a foolish thing to try to predict because all these fucking Max Kellerman, he's been doing this
the
shit
worst.
every year. This is gonna be the year. Then if not, it's just oh well. I don't remember saying that.
I'm not betting against them this week
Start
just
over
because they're
this
still
year.
the Patriots. But like I said, I've been going that they're not going to make the Super Bowl just based on statistics and odds. I mean, not many NFL teams
Yeah,
make
but
the Super Bowl.
Patriots have made statistics and odds kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, that's why I'm not betting against
as
them
far
yet.
as that goes.
And then if they lose, then I'll be like, okay, maybe the Patriots are finally starting to crumble a little bit. But until that actually happens, I can't bet against them, especially against the Titans. Ryan Tannehill-led Titans, who may not have Derrick Henry. If they don't have Derrick Henry, it's going to be game, set, match.
No, he's
Yeah, I mean, I think he wouldn't, but if they didn't have him. But, I mean, I still think they're going to be good because the Patriots defense, regardless of what you say, is still a good defense. They should be able to contain Derrick Henry, keep him to under 100 yards, and then put Stephon Gilmore on that rookie that they have.
Ty, the Patriots get run all over. Anyone with a pretty decent running back.
Yeah, that's
usually
true.
Gets 100
That's true because the Browns did pretty good on
the
him.
Titans lead the league in rushing,
Well,
or maybe what's his name does.
okay, yeah, you're right about that. But in the playoffs, Bill Belichick is always good at taking away what you do best and going against and exploiting what you do worse. So I think he should be able, like I said, contain. I wasn't going to say they're going to be able to stop him completely, but I think keeping him to under 100 yards isn't a huge stretch. And like I said, put Stephon Gilmore on A.J. Brown, that rookie wide receiver, who had a couple great catches last week, I will say. It looks like he's going to be a good Titan receiver for the future. I think Stephon Gilmore should be able to lock him down, and I just don't see Tannehill winning the game for him. But the Patriots probably win in any classic Patriot playoff way, 24-21. That's just a classic Patriots score.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's
we'll
gonna be
find out.
it's gonna be a good
I don't
game.
know.
Like I
They
said,
could get freaking railed.
you think they're gonna lose?
I think they can get their
Ooh,
ass
dang.
kicked.
It's in Foxborough though.
They're not a very good team.
No.
Really. I mean they have a top 5 defense though. I mean
Yeah,
but they're not like historic. You know what I mean?
not
they're
anymore.
Like
No.
Freaking Broncos defense that year with man.
And Von Miller, yeah, that
know?
was. Yeah, you're right. They're not that good, but they're still the best part of that team, and they can still win a game for them. I think so. Move on to the Sunday games. I think the first. I don't know which one's first. I'm assuming probably the Vikings Saints, which I think is gonna be a good game, but I don't see the Vikings winning. I think the Saints have just been on a roll lately. I think Drew Brees getting that injury timeout, that month off, has been really good for him. I think Kamara is starting to come back around and get into his full swing of things. Latavius Murray has stepped in nicely, filled that Mark Ingram gap pretty well, I believe. And Michael Thomas is unstoppable. The Vikings defense, especially their pass defense, isn't what it's been of late in the last couple of years. They can still stop the run, but the Saints mostly, I think, are mostly a throw team anyway.
Yeah, they get all cute with that freaking what's his name, Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Every time they bring him in to do something stupid, I want to fucking like throw my TV out the window.
Stealing points from Kamara. Yeah, I hated that.
Something about it just.
The Vikings they're a good team. They deserve to be in the playoffs. They kind of struck a bad draw getting the Saints that first week. I think if they would have played the Packers again, I think they could have won. Or if they would have gotten the Seahawks or the Eagles, any one of those teams, I think they could have definitely won and beaten. But getting the Saints in the Superdome with the Saints rolling hot, that's going to be tough for to draw, especially for good old primetime.
Vikings are winning that game.
Kirk. You think the Vikings are going to win? You think Kirk Cousins is going to walk in on the road, primetime playoff game, and beat the Saints? Okay. Yeah. Well, I think you're wrong, but that's your opinion. I think that's almost the lock of the week is the Saints. If I had $100 to bet on any of these games, I'd bet the $100 on the Saints to beat the Vikings.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see on Saturday.
I'll bet you.
No, I just said if I don't have $100.
If you lose, you have to sing a
song.
Oh yeah,
that's a win for nobody. And then the last game,
I like
hang on. The Seahawks at the Eagles. This would probably be the next one that's I would say is lock is the Seahawks winning. I don't know how. Both these teams are roughed up so bad. It's going to be, and both these teams just seem to always be in games and scrappy. Do anything it takes to win games. Seahawks especially. I just think they're going to be better than the Eagles. The Eagles are just they're down to practice squad guys. I mean, same thing with the Seahawks. They have to sign dudes off the street to play running back. But it's still Russell Wilson. It's still Pete Carroll. And I think Carson Wentz is going to be tired from carrying the team the last month and a half. It's just going to catch up to him. So I think the Seahawks are going to win. I don't want to say handily, because like I said, they don't win handily games. They win close games, but I still think they win by a touchdown, maybe 10 points.
See, I don't know which receivers are going to be playing for the Eagles. They haven't had any, they've had the worst weapons in the league, pretty much.
Yeah, did you see that crazy stat that Carson Wentz has? He was like the first quarterback to throw 3,000 yards or something like that, and not have a single wide receiver over 500. Wow. Yeah, and I think week 2, 80% of the throws, 80% of the targets he had in week 2 didn't suit up for week 17. So he was throwing to week 2, he's throwing to Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz and Nelson Aguilar, and none of those guys started week 17. I'm not sure who's going to be playing. I don't think Jeffrey or Deshaun Jackson are going to be playing in the playoffs. Ertz and Aguilar probably will be in there, but it's just it's too much. I think for, like I said, for Carson to overcome against a playoff team. Yeah, you can do it against the Cowboys, and you can do it against the Giants and the Redskins. Ugh. But when you get to the playoffs and you play playoff caliber teams and playoff caliber coaches, it's a lot different. And I think Carson's going to finally crumble under all the pressure. So that's just my opinion.
I don't see what's his name on the injury report.
Which one? Aguilar or Ertz?
Aguilar's on there, but not what's his name? Jackson.
That's because he's on IR. I think him and Jeffrey both went to injured reserve. Yeah. So, tell me who you're picking with that. I know you've been kind of. I don't remember who you picked in the Super Bowl. I think it was the Eagles.
Well, my ego wants to go with the Eagles because I predicted them to rematch the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but it looks like neither of them are going to make it anyway, so I'll have to use my brain and go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think that's just... It's hard to bet against Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, especially this early in the playoffs. And the Eagles just aren't... Not by their fault, they've been struck with injuries badly, but the Eagles aren't the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. So, yep, that's Nope. You want to make any other predictions for the playoffs, or you just want to wait until next week and just keep going?
Yeah, we'll play it by
I would like to pat myself on the back though for winning the pick'em for the regular season. Even though I think you and Steven stopped picking them the last couple weeks, but even
yeah, I forgot a whole week, and my season was already terrible.
Even still, I think I would have
hitching my freaking pick to teams that just completely suck.
Yeah, you had bad luck with the Saints. When Breeze got hurt, you jumped off that bandwagon real quick, and then when you hop back on, I think that's when they lost for the first time in a couple weeks.
It's ridiculous that they should have won those games. That's just how I feel about the NFL. I feel like it's so bad that a team like the Patriots are 12-4, with easily one of the worst offenses in football.
Breeze getting hurt.
They might have decent stats, but that's because early in the year they had so many freaking possessions. So
early in the year, I think Drew Brees getting hurt was the best thing for the Saints. It really put pressure on that defense to turn it up because they were playing pretty bad going into that game, and then when he got hurt, they took over and they won those. I think they won at least one of those games. The Seahawks game in particular, the defense won that while Breeze was gone, and I think that really turned everything up for him. And now that he's back, they're all one smooth working machine. And I'm glad I picked them early in the year to go to the Super Bowl because it's looking like a pretty good pick right now. I forgot.
Yeah, well, you don't really know that.
I mean, I feel more confident in my Super Bowl pick than yours. I think I had the Chiefs as my AFC pick, which is looking pretty good too. So, it's looking better than your Patriot pick. Would you agree?
Yeah, but if history tells us anything, then I still think that still bumps the Patriots up to as likely.
I'm still a firm believer in Bill Belichick playing you once in the regular season, and he comes back and beats you in the playoffs. I know you've thrown stats at me where that's not the case, but I think this year especially, he's got things up his sleeve that he's storing for the playoffs.
Dude, he has to play the Titans, which are probably one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now.
And they're bruisers too. They're a hardworking team.
Yeah, and who's the other team?
Then he'll have to probably go. Depending on who wins then he'll have to go play the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs, then the Ravens, then the freaking Vikings. I'm still hitching on to that. I'm pulling for it.
I mean, I'm not gonna be mad if the Vikings do. I won't be mad at all, but I just don't see it happening. So,
and they're as good a team as any.
Okay, well, the last thing that we'll get into a little bit is the college football playoffs, which was last week. Not last, it was on Saturday. The LSU Oklahoma game, which was a snoozer there. I think it kind of broke down how everybody thought it would break down. LSU just absolutely.
Now the championship game is 2 weeks from that game. Isn't that
Yeah, it's a week
ridiculous?
from Monday. Yeah. I mean, not really. I mean, it gives them adequate time to rest up and heal up guys and game plan.
I guess, but my God, like let's do it. Like after the season ends, the frickin' playoffs should be like 2 weeks after that, and then another 2 weeks, and get it done with.
Yeah. You got
It was-
to draw it out.
Close though. I guess it was like 3. It was like like a whole month. Whatever. I don't know. It takes I don't know. Sports are about momentum. Like, what if you frickin' I don't know. Like in NHL, you keep playing. Like, you don't have to take a month off. Like, no sport you have to take any considerable time like
Yeah.
that off. But football. has
College
to do
football is
it.
the only
And
one that does it like
it's
that.
irritating because when they come back, it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, agreed. That
There's no
It's the only
momentum.
sport.
You can't carry momentum for a month.
it's the only sport that does that. Yeah, that's just. I mean, it is that it's that way for both teams though. So I mean, that's one of the things you have to prep is knocking that rest off as quickly as possible when you get into those games, and whoever can get acclimated the fastest, it usually helps. Yeah, a lot of times you see it though. You'll come into a bowl game and you'll think one team was so much better than the other one, but the other one just isn't as rusty for as long, and then before you know it, it's a blowout. Speaking of that, I'm going to pat myself on the back again because I'm leading our bowl pick'em. I'm pretty sure I was the only one to pick Clemson beating Ohio State, which, I mean, depending on who you ask, a lot of people still think Ohio State won that game because of the bad call. But when you read your newspaper, it says Clemson won, and that's who I picked. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But that was
I picked Ohio State, but I didn't expect Lawrence to.
yeah, he.
Be on fire.
Yeah, that was a great game though. That call with the fumble, that was bad. When I first saw it in real time, like there's no way that was a catch. I mean that was an incomplete, and then they showed the replay, and it was like that was a catch if I've ever seen one. It should have been a fumble. And that was a scoop and score as the kids say now. That would have turned everything around because I think the Ohio State was leading by 7, I think, or it was tied. I don't remember, but it
Oh yeah, I remember.
regardless
that.
of what the score was, I know Clemson wasn't winning. It would have been a huge change, I think, and I think Clemson would have lost that game had that fumble stand, and they counted it as a fumble. So, but hey, that was good. What was another good bowl game I watched the other day?
I didn't even watch Notre Dame play. I don't even remember what the score
I think
was.
they put a shellacking on Iowa State
Well, they played at frickin' noon on a day that
that you couldn't.
it's like if you play at noon,
Tennessee
then
is
don't ask me
playing-
to give a fuck
Tennessee's
about
playing
you.
Indiana right now, and it's 6-3 going to the second half. So
Who's
Tennessee
playing?
is playing in the Gator Bowl, playing Indiana. Yeah,
Winning?
they're winning 6-3. Yeah, it's a real low scoring game. So yeah, Tennessee is up 6-3. It's a real low scoring game. I was hoping it would be this close because, I mean, they're playing Indiana. You want them to win pretty convincingly. Well, this is weird. Steven just texted us saying that Urban Meyer is going to Cleveland. I don't know if there's any validity to that. Let me check. Let me check Twitter. Do you think that's a good match or?
He uses Facebook though, right? There's a lot of fake shit on Facebook. Every once in a while I get asked about something. They're like, "Oh, did you see is McGregor fighting this guy?" Like I saw this fight poster on Facebook. It's like, no, that's not a real thing.
Yeah, no, I usually get my up to date news.
You can get that everywhere though. I just feel
on
like
Twitter.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen it there too.
Yeah, Twitter's usually if somebody dies, I go to Twitter just to double check to make sure they're actually dead. But I think Urban Meyer would be a good fit over there. Him or McCarthy. I think McCarthy might be a little better just because he's more of a disciplinarian. I think he'd be able to crack everything down and have those guys playing better.
So Urban Meyer's not going to Cleveland, right?
I haven't.
They have interest in him.
Yeah, I haven't seen that he's actually going. Not to say that he's not going, but I don't see anywhere where they've even met. Because when the Redskins, they got Rivera, and there was chatter about that Sunday afternoon that he was meeting with them.
Oh, I get it. Cause he coached Ohio State, so Cleveland, it adds up.
Yeah.
I don't really think about it.
I think if I was them, I'd get Mike McCarthy instead of Urban Meyer, just because. Yeah, Urban's a good coach, but I think he's a better college coach. But no matter where he goes, he always leaves it.
He's not going to be a better coach than Urban Meyer.
I think for the Browns, he'd be a better one. I think for the Browns, he'd be a better one.
No.
I think the Browns need a more. I think they need a Mike McCarthy. Yeah.
McCarthy, yeah.
But anyway, Urban Meyer
doesn't know what he's doing. He's had one of the best.
He leaves places in ruins. So. He always goes to a college and just builds them up. And yeah, he has a couple good years, and he may win a national title. But then he leaves them in scrutiny and scandal and ruins. Look at Ohio State now. They're just.
Yeah, but that happens to every team once a big guy leaves. Like, what the fuck are they supposed to do?
I don't know. I still think McCarthy would be better. I'm hoping Urban goes to the Cowboys.
Why do you think that? Just because he did coach in the NFL or what?
Partially, but I just think that that's what Cleveland needs is a coach like him. They just need somebody to kind of, because they're undisciplined. They just had the most penalties, had a lot of turnovers. They just didn't seem focused. I think McCarthy would be able to go in there and take care of that, and I think that would be a big help.
See, I just feel like a coach needs to be able to hold the room, and I think that's with like Freddie Kitchens. I think with his accent, like even if you're like angry, you sound kind of like laid back and nonchalant. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, yeah, all right. If you have like Bill Belichick's grumpy ass, you're like fucking walk down the hall. He's like completely silent. You're just like, you feel like you're about to explode. Like,
yeah, I better go out and have a great practice.
Fear you need for good leadership. That's why I can never be like a freaking Hitler character. I'm like, I ain't that intense.
I would hope not. That wouldn't be good.
Not to compare him to Hitler, but like as far as like intensity, different types of intensity though.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying Urban wouldn't be a good coach. I just think McCarthy would be a better fit and be better for the Browns. Like I said, I want Urban to go to the Cowboys and just really screw it up.
Because he coached Brett Favre back in the day.
Well, and he
that could be
coached Aaron Rodgers, and he had a good tenure.
Aaron Rodgers coached Aaron Rodgers. He led, with his emotions. That's why him and Cam Newton never do shit. They're too much like, I don't know. Tom's a wine bag, but he's like a super intensely focused wine bag. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Rodgers ain't focused. He's like fucking NASCAR drivers and buying houses in Malibu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
And Tom's like eating a fucking weird diet, not eating tomatoes. Like, he's not like necessarily like he's talented, but like greatness is like he's just insane.
Yeah, but I still think Tom is coachable. I don't think you can coach Aaron Rodgers.
No, you can't. No one, Aaron Rodgers always knows more than everybody.
Yeah, so I think you need at least somebody. I think McCarthy was pushed out mostly because Rodgers didn't like him because he wouldn't agree with Aaron. So I think he just kind of got the bad end of the deal, and they'd been there together long enough, and it was just time for a change. So I think him going to Cleveland and helping Baker would be much better. But like I said, that's just my opinion.
I kind of just want Urban Meyer to do it.
Either way, the Browns. I think the Browns would be better off than with Kitchens with either one of those guys. But it's the Browns, so they'll figure out a way to hire like Nick Fangino or something stupid or whatnot. Really screw it up.
Yeah, I wonder who they're gonna get.
Probably somebody dumb. What you need?
Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy wouldn't be bad. It'd be better than Freddie Kitchens.
Evidently, anybody would.
Yeah, you could go in there and do a better job than
a
Kitchens.
A giant idiot, and I'm like, like they call him like really stupid before like we ever had a chance to see how stupid he really was. So for a while I'm like, is he really stupid or is that just like the narrative that he's really fucking stupid? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You just kind of wonder of the trajectory of some of these guys and how they can rise through football to come to that level and be like that.
Yeah. He might have been able to. He might be able to handle being a coach eventually, but the situation with the Browns, where they had a team already together, they didn't have room to run into his growing pains and him trying to catch up to being a coach. He's gonna have to go try that somewhere else. Like the Redskins would have been a better opportunity for him to do. You have growing pains in the Browns because the Browns are more built to win now, whereas the Redskins have some time to build up speed and I'm not saying I want the Redskins to get Kitchens. I know that. Oh, that's good. And then they got Jack Del Rio too as defensive coordinator. Yeah, I was listening to Rivera's press conference and he's just talking about discipline and how they're gonna build them up to be disciplinaries and they're gonna be good men and stuff like that. It was just a good calming press conference and have him say that Snyder was telling him that he wants this to be his last job. That bodes well. I'm sure he probably says that to all the other coaches, but I feel good about it. Let's see.
Yeah, me too. To get rid of the suck bag number 1 and suck bag number 2.
Yeah, firing Bruce. I think I was shocked when he fired Bruce Allen, the GM, just because I think that's where most of the problems have been is keeping him and for him to get him out of there. We'll see who he goes from there and what they do at offensive coordinator. But we'll see. They got the number 2 draft pick, which will probably get Chase Young or I don't see.
Draft.
Yeah, if they don't get Chase Young, then they better be trading down for like a huge trade that they gave the Rams when they got RG3, like 2 number 1s and 2 2s.
They'll get Chase Young, and then they'll get. I don't know. They need to figure something out for receiver.
If they get Chase Young, they're going to have one of the better defensive lines in the league. So they'll have Chase Young, they'll have Montez Sweat, and they'll have Jonathan Allen and Ryan Kerrigan. They're going to have a really good defensive line if they get Chase Young, which it looks like it's a foregone conclusion, unless for some reason the Bengals pick him up, but I don't see them passing on Joe Burrow. So, yeah.
No.
Anything else? You said you haven't watched much the college bowl games. Indiana just scored a touchdown.
Not really. I don't know. My head's kind of in a different space. I don't know. Just haven't really been paying attention to it. I think winter's hitting me in the face.
What's the weather like up there?
But I lose interest. It's been a month. Like I don't give a shit about it anymore. I always lose interest by the time it actually. But I like the playoffs. Those games are good. At least the championship usually is.
Yeah, I think Clemson LSU is going to be a really good a game. We have another episode before that game comes out, so we'll get more into that next week. But yeah. Anything else, Greg? You wanna take some? We already did predictions for the playoffs. Were you able to watch the Winter Classic a little bit yesterday?
I didn't.
Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know, the Winter Classic is it's a hockey game they have every year, New Year's Day. They take 2 teams and they play outside in either a football stadium or a baseball stadium. They've done it at Soldier Field. I think a couple years ago they did Soldier Field. They've done it at Fenway, and I want to say they've done it at Wrigley Field too. But anyway, it's a cool thing to watch. The Predators win it this year. Ooh, the Tennessee just got a touchdown. Oh, no, never mind. I lied. He threw a pick 6. That's not looking good.
Oh, still a touchdown.
Yeah, just not for Tennessee. But the Predators were in the Winter Classic and they played outside against the Stars. It's a cool thing to watch, regardless of what teams you like that are playing. It's just cool to see a hockey stadium in a football field or in a baseball stadium. It's just a cool thing to watch and something I recommend at least turn it into for a couple minutes on New Year's Day before football starts, because it started at like 1 o'clock. It was really, really early. So, But that was good. I hope you watched it, and if not, I recommend watching it next year because it's going to be in Minnesota next year at Target Field. So the Wild will play somebody, probably the Avalanche or the Jets. That's my guess. Or they'll bring in some original team like the Penguins or the Canadiens. Maybe the Bruins. When was the last time the Bruins have done it a couple times, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
One time was in Boston.
I'm against it. The quality
You don't like
of
it?
the viewing isn't as good. Nothing good really comes out of it. It's cool.
I disagree.
Right, there's a rink in the middle of a football field. Other than that, it sucks. You're 100 miles away from the frickin' thing.
Maybe to go to it. I think it'd be cool to go to. Last year, last year I think it was in Buffalo, or it was in New York and Buffalo, and it was snowing, and the goalies had to wear stocking hats. That's just something cool. It just brings it back to the elements, and most of those guys played outside when they were young.
I like that. But as far as watching the actual game, like if you want to argue
different.
that it's better watching than a regular game, then you're crazy.
No, I'm glad that they just have it one game a year. That's good enough.
No, it is cool though. Some
because a lot of times they said the ice yesterday was kind of bad. The puck had a tough time staying flat, and it was bouncy, which I'm sure
ice always sucks.
Which I'm sure having ice in December in Dallas in January isn't ideal for any hockey game. Because at Christmas for us here in Tennessee, Christmas it was 60 degrees outside.
Well, thanks a lot for letting me know.
I don't think they'll have that problem next
Happy
year in
for
Minnesota. So, okay. Well, anything else sports related you want to add, Greg?
Nope. Nothing.
Nope. Okay. Well then, I think that's gonna about be it then for the episode. So, like I said earlier, if you have sports memories of the decade that you want to add in, send us an email at sportsandleisurepodcast@gmail.com. sportsandleisurepodcast@gmail.com. Like our page on Facebook. You can message us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, do all that good stuff. Follow our Twitter page. Follow Greg on Twitter if you'd like. I don't think he tweets that much. Follow me on Twitter. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Comment on iTunes. Comment, wherever or however you listen to the podcast. Anyway, there are multiple forms and ways to communicate to us, and we wish you would. Just tell us if there's something we're not talking about that you want to hear. Like I said, we're here for you guys, and we're here to talk about what you want to listen to. So, like I said, go in there. Anything else you want to add, Greg? Anything to plug? Are you doing stand-up in the area?
Yeah.
Buy beef? Is that what you want to tell everybody?
Yeah. Buy whatever you want.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you're having a good week. Hope you have a good rest of the week, and we hope you tune in to next week's episode, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Sports
See ya.
and leisure heflings. And leisure sports. And leisure heflings. And leisure sports. And leisure with heflings and leisure sports. And leisure heflings. And leisure sports. And leisure heflings. And leisure. This is sports and leisure with heflings and leisure.